Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Life After Kids with Doctors Brooke and Lynne. I'm Dr. Brooke.
And I'm Dr. Lynne.
And we're so glad you're here. We made it through Thanksgiving.
It's the beginning of December, and now we're onward and thinking about Christmas.
Yes, we've been through Black Friday, so maybe you're starting to do some shopping.
Yep, that's when I start my Christmas shopping.
Yes.
I've learned in
Take
previous
advantage of the
years,
sales.
I love to get it done earlier, and part of me wants to just get it knocked out in November, but if I start too early, I buy too much, and so I start on Black Friday, just like the rest of the country.
Yeah.
For the most part.
Yeah, I'm not one. I have some friends that like are wrapped, everything bought, wrapped, bowed by October.
Oh.
And I'm like, honestly, I'm like,
Impressive.
I mean, that's impressive because you can really go into the holiday season and just relax. Because for me, there's stress around gift giving. So I'm glad we're talking.
Yeah.
By the way, that's our topic today, gift giving. But I just can't. It started for me when my kids were little because they'd have this list of things they'd want. And I'd get it done early.
And then it would
change. They'd change their minds. So I was like, forget it. So then I just got into a habit of, anyway.
Yeah.
But so the topic here today is gift giving.
Yeah, I think that, for some people it comes really easy, right? Some people love the gift giving piece and thinking through what that person might want. And, we all know those people and we love having them in our life. And there's a strength around that called individualization. And if you are that person, you probably have, if you are that great gift giver, you probably have that strength. But then for other people, like you said, it can be stressful. And so how do we decode that? How do we break that down to where we can really give and show people appreciation and love with the gifts, but yet have it be something that's manageable and doable and not
stressful,
not running away, taking the cart with the horse kind of thing with all the gift giving and the money and all of that.
Yeah, it gets ridiculous. And also, how can you think outside of the box a little bit, right? And change it up and just, it's time to have some fun if you're not already. So, what can we do differently?
Yeah, instead of handing out 50 gift cards.
Yes.
Yeah. What's the point?
And by the way, I still do that sometimes for certain people, but not necessarily,
Yeah, I think there's a time and a place for a gift card.
Absolutely, yeah. But talk about, because you kind of taught me this, that you're going to say it better than me. You know where I'm going. So go. Giving the gift.
I think that the best gifts to give are ones that people would really love and adore, but they would not buy for themselves.
Yeah.
So either that's a little bit of a splurge or something that maybe they don't have access to, or I can think of an example, for instance, with somebody who worked for us. There was a belt that we gave her, and she adored it and loved it and, could afford it really if you look at it. But in the context of her family and her priorities, she wasn't going to spend that money on herself.
It was a designer
belt. Yeah, and she earned it. And so, yes, I mean, we spent a little bit, that was definitely more of a splurge. But how can you use that concept and apply that to your kids, to your mom, your dad, your, grandparents, the people in your life, your husband, that, that means something to you, that you want to take that extra care and time with for gifts.
Yeah. And you know what, that's so so you can look at it in two ways. And from the perspective of you running a business and having employees, and if you're doing something a little bigger for them at Christmas time, maybe instead of dropping a couple extra $100 or a bonus, you get them this gift that's because if you just gave her whatever the money was, I don't even know, I'm just pulling out a number,
which would have been a good gift,
whatever. But she's not going to buy something that she's going to maybe use it she could even use it to pay for Christmas bills.
Exactly.
So it's kind of nice to change that up. But then on the flip side, because it doesn't have to be this big when you talk about buying somebody something they wouldn't buy themselves. It doesn't have to be it doesn't have to be a big and super costly thing. And I have an example here, and this is a gift that you gave me. Was it last Christmas, I think? And we were in Florida, and I don't know how you got it there, and then I had to take it home, but it was such a great gift. Yeah, well, and it was breakable, but it was such a great gift, and it was, you give the best gifts. It was,
she's so nice to me.
Sometimes.
I hope it.
I make fun of you a lot there too, so it's an equal
that's true.
But she got me, I don't know where you found this, but this beautiful pie plate.
Etsy. Etsy is a great place
yes.
for custom gifts.
Pie plate or pie, is that what I call it? Pie pan? Okay. And so super
for all the
usable.
pies
I was just going to say that how practical that was. You're right, I don't bake that much. But it's practical for somebody who bakes. But beyond that, it wasn't just a pie pan.
Yeah, it was a special recipe that, it was the butternut squash.
We talked about it in another episode.
And that you adore. And, I was passing that on to you in this gift of this plate that was meaningful.
Right. So the pie, just to preface, the pie wasn't inside of the pie pan because she traveled with it and so did I. But what she did was she had the recipe engraved in the center of the pie pan. And it was just like, I've never seen anything like it. I thought it was so sweet. And like, it was a practical gift. But when we talked about this, we came out for Thanksgiving and you made it for me and I loved it so much. So just the thoughtfulness behind it, the practicality, and certainly not something I was going to buy for myself.
Yeah. And I would spend lots of money on you, my dear. Don't get me wrong, but it was also pretty affordable. Like, it was one of those things where you can think outside of the box. You can have something that's customized, meaningful, and not break the bank, especially around Christmas when we're buying so much.
Well, this is the thing. Like, you don't have to. Like, meaningful gifts are not, or the best gifts are not necessarily the most expensive gifts. So, another thing that I love, especially, at this phase of life, is the gift of an experience.
Yes.
Because we want to make the most of, I do
our
anyway.
time. And like, when we get to the end of our life, are we going to think back on the, I don't know, the pair of shoes that we bought, that one day?
I have a couple pairs
that are pretty memorable. I agree.
They're pretty good. Anyway.
No, the point is we're more likely going to think about those days, those experiences, those, the memories. Whether that would be, instead of, I know a lot of families who are traveling around Christmas, taking the money that they would ordinarily put into stuff and things and putting it into those family experiences and those memories, especially as your kids get older, because I love your labeling of this. It's forced family time, right? You get your kids on a plane and you take them somewhere. They're not going to be with their video games and their friends and, leaving after dinner kind of thing.
And this doesn't have to be necessarily a vacation. So last year, my husband is so hard to buy for because, like, what do you get the guy? Everything. And also, he's not a person that's into, like, what he's wearing or it's just, he's tough. He's really tough. He's awesome, but he's tough to buy for. And so, and he can get himself what he wants, so there's that. So what I ended up doing last year for him, I bought him a racing experience, but I bought it for him and our oldest son because he and Anthony share this love of cars, and I wasn't going to buy him a car. So I was like, okay, so what can we do around it? So I bought them this package where we could go to New Hampshire, and the two of them got to race a Ferrari and then a Lamborghini, separate cars, cool. And they raced each other. And then we all did this Hellcat experience. So like you get into the Dodge Hellcats and somebody else drives you. But that's a thing, like what a memory you're creating, and the kids love it, and you're all together. And he opened it and he was like, this was such a great gift. And then Anthony was excited because it was a partial gift for so it's really cool. And then memories for them.
I love that. I think with those people that are well off and they not necessarily, I'm separating Ken from this, but people who could just go buy whatever they needed at the moment.
Yeah,
those are the hardest people to buy. But there are some sites out there, for instance, Charity Buzz comes to mind. You can buy packages put together. You can bid on these really cool experiences with either celebrities, like if your significant other or your person that you're buying for has like a person that they really admire, you can do things like that. And then there's that one site where you can go and get a personalized message from a person.
I didn't know any of this. That's really interesting.
Yeah.
And on the flip side of that, if you are you could be buying a present for somebody who's really in need.
Yes.
And then, any small thing that you can do. I mean, don't keep those people in mind too. And this could be someone you don't even know well, but just reaching out to them during the holiday and just a simple, small act, something small can make all the difference for them.
Yeah. And I think that's a really good time to talk about just contribution and what Christmas really means.
Yeah, I was just going to go there.
Giving back. And we've got Giving Tuesday coming up. I know many of us participate in that. And that we've talked a lot at length about contribution and how important that is for our next level growth as humans and as women.
Yeah.
And so remember that, because and you know, that example that we teach the people in our lives around prioritizing that and making that big, not just with our money, but also with our time.
And our time. Yeah. And one thing that we started doing years and years ago, the kids were little, because I had a tradition that we brought in from what my parents did with us, which was on Christmas Eve, we opened a present from our parents to us. That was their present to us. And then Christmas Day was like Santa presents and presents that other people had bought us. So we used to do that with the kids. And then we shifted, and because I wanted to pull more of this, like, it's not all about you, it's not all about receiving, it's about giving too. And so what we've been doing for years is, instead of them getting a gift from us, they each pick an organization, a foundation, or charity that they're interested in, and then we donate in their name, and that's their present. And they know it now every year, and each year they have something ready to go. Some years I've gotten like a little ornament from the organization, and that's what they get to open and put it on a tree as a memento of that. So that's the
key in that, I feel, is that you get the kids involved in picking their charity, and they do research behind it, and then the multiple years of them doing it, they're in the habit of, and get excited about it now, right? Maybe at first it was a little like, oh, okay, well, let's do this, but now they have ownership around it, and it's becoming a habit.
Yeah,
and they'll hopefully pass on.
I hope so, and that could be a good gift for somebody else. If you have somebody in your life that you're really struggling with, like what to buy them, and they don't necessarily need something, like if there's something that you know that they are passionate about, you know, given their name, and then give them a little ornament with that on it, or that
or something that would represent that
something
charity,
that represents it. Yes, just it's something meaningful. And then one other thing that's coming to mind, I've got so many thoughts, but I want to touch on this real quick. You could be watching this and in a position where you don't have a lot of funds for gift giving this year. You know, like this is an all-inclusive conversation. So I would encourage you, circling back to the 5 love languages. There are other ways to show people you care and to give to them. And one of the 5 love languages, acts of service.
Yeah. And don't forget physical touch. And words of affirmation, which aren't gifts. They aren't tangible things that you could still gift, and have it be really meaningful for the person who's receiving it, if it's in their language. You
could write a beautiful card with, some kind things about that person, but, with acts of service, what I was thinking of in particular was like, if you aren't able to buy a gift for somebody, maybe you know someone, for example, that's got kids, and your gift to them could be you babysit for them for a day so they can have a night out with their husband. Or, maybe there's, you have a family member that's a little bit older, and you could, clean up their house for them, or, anything. These are all can be gifts too. It doesn't have to be this extravagant present that they're opening up.
I really rebel against that concept more and more as I get older. In just giving things just to give. And we've done that in family where it's like, well, send me a list of what you want. And it goes against the grain, and it works. I get it. I see the practicality of it. But for me, it's like, we could go and buy those things on our own. Let's take the opportunity to show each other, some care and concern for what we think that you might want. That's the gift, right? We're giving. And so now we do that a little differently, where we pick a name, and it's easier to bite off because it's one person to shop for versus 20. And so that's another way. If you're not already doing that, it's a well-known, obviously, practice. But if you're not already doing that, take the jump. Save yourself the time and the headache, and spend the money and the time on one person, and then everybody does that in return.
Yeah, it's great. I love it. Anything else to add?
No, although I rebel against the concept of gifts, I love gifts. Gifts are my love language. It's important. Especially for giving me gifts. No, I'm just kidding.
We need to do an episode of what we've unlocked with our husbands and gift giving, because they're both.
That's a whole conversation.
No offense to Ken and Mark, but not great gift givers. We need to do an episode on that.
A major sticking point in our relationship. It can be, and
I think we've cracked the code.
After many years of frustration and arguments.
Okay, we'll save that. Sorry, I'm leaving you with a cliffhanger, but that's good, because hopefully you'll come back for more.
Teaser.
So, guys, listen, here it is. We're in the holiday season. We're up and running. Have a great week. Take time for yourself.
Yes. You are such a gift to us, and love you and appreciate you.
Yep. Have a great day.